Hi everybody, welcome back. I'm going to do a negative space swipe on this 12-inch MDF round. And I'm going to use 5 of the new Prizm Pour colors. So for my base, I'm using Glidden Premium and Eggshell. And I do have a mixing video in my description box for, what ingredients I use for the bloom recipe, if that's helpful for anyone. And I'm probably using too much paint, but I still have a little bit of a challenge with that. I'm just popping a couple bubbles there. All right, the first color is Midnight Blue from Matisse. It's a beautiful color. This is Australian Red Violet from Matisse. You might hear my dog walking. Sorry about that. And next up is Claret, which is one of the new Prizm Pour colors. It's a gorgeous color. And this is a little bit of Cupid's Crush, which is a Primary Elements Glitz color. I just had a little bit left over and I didn't want it to dry out because there was so little in the container, so I thought we'll throw it in there. It works. Pop in some more bubbles. And I found a big bubble, so I was popping a couple big bubbles before adding more color. Don't forget you can save 20% off of anything on the Colourarte website using my code. It's listed below. It's Mandy1120 in all lowercase. And I also have the link for the new Prizm Pour below as well. And the only reason I'm holding it up like that is so I can get some of those bubbles from the side angle. Sometimes they pop easier if you do that for some reason. Sorry if you keep hearing my dogs. That color is called Tuscan Sun. This is a Prizm Pour color. Gorgeous, gorgeous, warm golden yellow. Next up is Apple Cider. It's also a Prizm Pour color. These colors are really amazing to work with. Now my Prizm Pour colors are mixed with my bloom recipe. And this color is called Water Dragon, also from the new Prizm Pour. And I was on the fence about using this one, but it worked out to go really well with these colors. This is Bonfire, also from the new Prizm Pour. Now you may have seen in my other swipe, this is Twilight Violet, also a new Prizm Pour color. I mentioned in my swipe I did last time that these are a little bit thicker, so where I got away with kind of pouring them right out of the bottle, this time I would recommend mixing it with your regular mix. That's just a little bit more red violet on the top, just because you don't want your paint to be too thick, and mine flocculated just a bit. All right, so we've got all our colors down. Now let's do our cell activator. Now, if you saw my previous video, my cell activator was a little thick, so I thinned it down a little bit, and hopefully it's right where it needs to be. We're only using the blue-black today. I was gonna mix up red-black, but then I was like already spending a bunch of time mixing, and I was like, nah, let me just use blue-black. So let me put some on my little palette knife. I'm using my swiping tool from Colourarte. So I think the other thing that messed up my mix the other day is I normally spread it out like this with my finger and then even it out. And because I was using 2 cell activators and it was relatively thick, I wasn't really able to even it out without kind of smooshing the colors together. So it's a little bit sparse in some areas, but So I usually like kind of move it around and make sure it's kind of evenly spread. And then if I have too much in one area, I'll try to kind of cover the areas I don't have as much. In case I haven't already mentioned it, I do have a mixing video where I show you kind of what I use for blooms, what kind of ingredients I use in my pouring medium, my pillow paint. That doesn't mean that's the only way to do it. It's just some things that have worked well for me. So I always link that in the description box below. All right, let's go. I'm a little wide here on the paint, so I'm a little nervous. I think I was able to fix the width issue. I really hate when I get these huge bubbles. I mixed my, so if you've listened to me before, I do sometimes mix in some gel medium into my bloom recipe. It just helps with cell instability and helps kind of keep your cells in place and all that. And I stand behind that, only it does add a lot of bubbles to your mix and it makes it very tedious sometimes to get them out. So that's kind of annoying. All right, so far this is looking really nice. Yay. I was a little hesitant about using Water Dragon in here with all these warm colors, but I actually think it gave us the contrast we needed. And it's kind of a really nice deep teal. So I think it was a good choice. I have a pillow cell, a pillow measle here. And a couple of these, I just don't want to let them pop on their own. Let me go ahead and do the other side. I did swipe into the pillow a little bit to cover that wide band of color. So I do have some weird like white pillow cells around the cells, which I don't think I've ever had happen before. But at least it didn't ruin anything, so I'll take it. So these bubbles are so annoying. Okay. Now we're going to load the palette knife and do the other side. I popped a couple bubbles before I restarted the video so you guys wouldn't have to see all of that, but sadly we still have some, so we do with what we have, you know? All right, so what you can't see me doing is putting Cell Activator on my little knife here. I cleaned it off. Swiper tool, whatever we're calling it. Okay, now I'm spreading it around. Ooh, I have too much. Maybe, maybe not. Definitely. So I do have too much, so I'm gonna put some of it back in the container. Because if you saw my previous swipe, you saw how hard I had to work to get the cells to come through that extraordinary amount of Cell Activator. We got there, but we had to work really hard. So, all right. Now, my goal is always to kind of continue the movement that's already here. And very gently to swipe over your color, doing your very best to not swipe down into your pillow. It's hard to do. I see people just, and I'm like, that's not how it goes when I do it. So maybe it's just that I have a heavy hand, which is entirely possible, but I do not have the gift of just gliding my tool over my paint. It is always like major concentration time for me. So if you're the same way, just be aware that you're going to have to keep your hand really light as you're swiping with the intent of gliding your color across, or gliding your Cell Activator across the other colors. I don't know if you can see this right here, but that kind of messed up a little bit. As I swiped, I think we'll be able to fix it, but it's kind of smeared our color a little bit. So I'm going to pop a couple bubbles while the cells are developing, and then we will work on our composition. So hopefully you guys agree that these colors work really nicely together. I think they're beautiful. I was going to use my Walmart color place today as a pillow. It still has too many darn bubbles in it. So Karen from Waterfall Acrylics recommended the Sherwin-Williams Captivate. She said she's had minimal bubbles with it and really likes the consistency of it, so I'm going to try that. I don't know when I'm going to try it. I have the another thing of eggshell and a Glidden Premium Satin in there already, so I don't know when I'm going to try it, but I do want to try it because bubbles are a pain. So I will say the Glidden, if you let it sit for a while, it's a lot easier to work with. And this can has been sitting there for months because I was using the Color Place. I really like the Color Place for the most part. It sometimes has less bubbles. Sometimes it has its share. But, you know, you can spend half your day popping bubbles. It's really annoying. In this case, these are not all from the pillow. Some of these are from my pouring medium from introducing some of the gel gloss. So not all of these have the gel gloss in it, but I also just mixed these paints a couple hours ago. So most of this is mixed with Infinity from Sherwin-Williams. 3 parts of that to 1 part Josonia. Just pop some of the micro bubbles. Get serious. Okay. Blew a little too hard right there. So I'm just kind of opening up the cell activator. I'm still going to move it around a little bit, but I probably shouldn't have done that in a couple places. Didn't have the desired result. In some cases, I'm just blowing kind of gently and quickly to see if I can pop some of these surface level bubbles so we don't have to spend all day doing this. Every once in a while, if you just give it a gentle but quick gust of air, they pop real quick, but not all of them. Some people still torch on the Bloom recipe. I don't recommend that. You could easily get a paint skin. If you do decide to torch, you need to do it very quickly and get the heat off it right away, because it's more than likely going to burn your paint. But it works for some people. I see some people do it without any problem. So if you're one of those people, awesome. But for the general population, I would say it's not a good idea. So there's a bunch of cell activator right here. I'm just gently blowing over it to open it up. I don't mind if I have pillow cells, but if you leave a bunch of cell activator in one place, it's very likely to cause wobbly cells as it dries because it's thinner than the rest of your paint. So, I mean, don't go crazy, don't overwork a piece to fix it, but if you can move it, open it up a little bit, it will definitely help. But the caveat to that is it's very easy to overwork a piece trying to do that. There's a bubble in here that will not pop, y'all. It's a stubborn little bubble. There's also a little pool of it right here, but this is most likely going to fly off. So I'm not going to worry too much about that. See, where I blew here doesn't look very good. I I maybe blew a little too hard. So I'm gonna create some lines to help fix that. But I wanted to open up some of this here. And we did a pretty decent job of that. So let's mess with it a little bit. And then as we spin it out, some of that will kind of self-resolve. This part right here, make sure you can see what I'm talking about. This part right here, I did not do the best job swiping. Now some of that's going to spin off, but let me get down where I'm level with it. On the stool, I'm a little too high. So one of the first things I want to do is connect these places that look kind of wispy and airy. So they look a little bit more intentional. It's not all we're going to do there, but that's where we're going to start. This part down here is a little wobbly because of how I swiped and I kind of got into the pillow. So I'm going to deliberately kind of create some wispies there. And this part where I'm kind of messing with the pillow here, oh man, somehow, I don't know if it's because it was on my hands, somehow I got stuff in my negative space. What gives? Could be like dried paint from my hands, but that's not cool. The struggles. I also keep wiping my skewer off, so maybe it had some paint on this napkin. Who knows? So here, right here, that was going to be a little bit of a problem as it spun out, and now I kind of have to scooch it back. The only thing I'm worried about in this tiny little section where I'm messing with this paint, because it's smeared quite a bit over the pillow, is that we might have some flocculation because of how much it's going to stretch before it kind of goes over. So we'll see. So here, we're going to kind of follow that same trajectory. Going to have to do a little bit more work on this side. I'm tempted to wreck a line through this, but I really like the cells we're getting through here. I don't really want to do that. These cells here, where they have some of the pillow around them, I'm kind of worried about how they're going to dry. So I'm going to do a little bit of this just to break that up a little bit, because there's one part that's kind of it's hard to describe, but it's, and you probably can't see it from where you are, but it was like way too just out there. So I kind of ran a line through it, and now I'm going to kind of come around the other side and kind of go the other direction. I usually follow the same direction once I start doing this, but you know, you always kind of have to envision what is this going to do as it spreads out. And those lines will get much bigger and much more noticeable. So if you can see that it's potentially going to start to look like an eyebrow or something crazy, you kind of want to get it first before you spread it out. There is this one spot, come on, I dropped my skewer. There's this one part in the pillow that has this super annoying bubble, and if I could get it from the right angle, I could pop it. Yes, I think I got it. Sometimes like the bubbles are so small that even a toothpick won't do it. You kind of have to get a really sharp object and get it at just the right angle. Okay. All right, I think we can probably give it a little spin. There's this one part here that bothers me a little bit because I'm afraid it's going to look really flat as it grows. I softened it a little bit. There's still quite a bit of cell activator in this one part. So I think I'm going to come right through it and then just come over here. Give it a little bit of room. And part of that is I'm concerned about how it's going to blow out, and part of it is I don't want to leave a huge pool of cell activator in one spot like that. Sorry if you guys can hear some sirens. I don't know if you can hear that or not. So let's give it a gentle spin and see what we see. Ooh, that wasn't as gentle as intended. Still got to get the pillow over the edges here. But so far, I'm liking it. You may hear our shower. Sorry, somebody's in the shower close by. I just saw a bubble. I think it actually just popped. There's some stuff here in the middle where we have a lot of cell activator that worries me a little bit. You probably can't see it from your angle, but it worries me that it's going to dry kind of wonky. It's right here, but it's kind of too late to do too much to it. So our only options are to do something where we go down in there, which we could. We could go in through here and just come out the other side, but I honestly don't think that it's going to be as noticeable to you guys as it is to me. So it seems like I should leave it alone. I love these colors. They're so beautiful. Okay. I think this is going to be really pretty. Just trying to catch the bubbles that I can see have the potential to pop and cause troubles. Trouble bubbles, if you will. Trouble bubbles. There's so many trouble bubbles. I may have to catch some of them before the close up. So let's keep spinning. We need to get rid of a little bit more paint. Also, yikes, I need to get some of this paint this way. So, I don't particularly like how that's moving. So let's not scoot. We'll spin gently. If I have to cover the edge with some pillow paint, I'll do that. When I was scooting it up, some of the cells were not moving uniformly, and I was afraid that it was gonna warp the cells. My only drawback with this is it opened up the area that I'm not crazy about, but again, I'm pretty sure I'm the only one that's going to notice that. I don't think that other people will. We do keep getting bubbles, trouble bubbles. And an occasional bubble from the pillow paint, but most of it's coming from not the Prizm pour necessarily, but the mix itself. Because I mixed it so recently today. A little piece of fuzz right here. Okay. Trouble bubbles. I'm just inspecting to see if I need to mess with anything before we spin it one more time. Can't pause you because I'm covered in paint. And apparently my shirt is not fuzz free like I thought, because I keep finding little fuzzies. So we have all of our sides pretty much covered. I like the composition for the most part. I'm tempted to mess with this down here a little bit, but I better not. I do need a little bit more of this paint to cover the edges on this side, but I think I can get that with my finger. I'm a little concerned that we might have a little bit too much left on, but what I do is I cover it with a food net to keep stuff out, and if I think I have a little bit too much paint on there, I'll put like a pillowcase or t-shirt over that to kind of let it dry a little bit more slowly, and that helps a lot. I don't think we're looking at any like substantial cracking risk. If this was color place, because it's thicker, there's a good chance that we could have a risk, but it's not moving when I wiggle it. And I really don't want it to get much bigger, because the larger that paint's going to stretch out, the less concentrated our color will be, the more propensity we'll have for our cells to get wonky. And right now I'm pretty happy with it. So let me clean my hands and I'll bring you down for a close-up. All right, everybody, so here's our close-up. You can see all the beautiful colors together, beautiful cells. I love the little pillow ghost cells. So don't forget to let me know what you think. Don't forget about the discount codes in the description box. And thank you for all your support. If you're new, please like and subscribe. And I'll see you guys soon. Bye.